Mark Golding and the PNP are always backing back from everything prosperous and good. Why? Backing back into everything illegal, illegitimate, or indecent. That's what they do. There is a reason for there always has to be a reason. This is not the PNP we thought we knew for donkey years. This is not the PNP again at all. This is the Rise United back party, like a car that drives but only in reverse. They keep going against everything progressive, everything, everything the government says that will benefit the beloved people of Jamaica, everything that the government does that will benefit the beloved people of Jamaica, land we love, the PNP says back from that. Why? And how can they fool so many careless Ethiopians, telling them that SHIT spells sugar and that 3 trillion that is still available to make Jamaica abandon to run Spark program and give us $20,000 cash return is missing. The money is missing, but you still getting from it and you believe it's missing anyway. It's like trying to wrap your head around Oral Tracy's ice foolishness. The ice foolishness. Oral Tracy is one of those back characters. He took up this idea that it would be good if he came with intelligent and fair analysis, which was a great idea that I applauded. But for the love of a white man, this star black man is backing back into kindergarten, backing back from the good idea he had before. That makes sense. The silly things he says, he himself cannot wrap his head around. No. And here the rain is falling. Shower, shower, showers of blessing. You are a mind-boggling dunce if you are one of these idiots. The truth is right up in your faces. Mark Golding's choices, tones, legacies, and decisions do not support us as a nation of descendants of enslaved people trusting him. A spade is a damn spade and not a fork. Just because you like to twist things. Mark Golding follows the same pattern that always seems to carry our destruction as a people. We are the only people that choose our own destruction in good faith by trusting those that hold legacies of thriving and hating are demanding that we be the mean for their own prosperity. It's like sacrificing us to prosper. That is what they believe. People like Matalan will see themselves as Tapanaris Jamaicans, friends of Mark Golding. Do you realize how against you they are when they speak? Matalan and Mark Golding, they wanted our government to overtax the poor people of Jamaica, claiming that it was a means to help the country to grow, which was it so doggone impossible. You wonder why they came up with the idea, if not to punish the people of our land. Matalanis and the Tapanaris, friends of Mark Golding, are expecting to run this country with Mark Golding. So not only would they have changed, but now the whip would come because we would be under the whip. Matalan and Mark Golding even proposed to overtax sanitary pads to poor black women and remove the hard trust, which pulls incredible numbers of Jamaicans out of poverty all day, every day. The overtaxing of sanitary pads and everything else that must be tabooed. caused many deaths in Kenya when poor people had to rise up to the evil recently. After their government relented to the evil devices of the IMF, white supremacist imperialist system. Seems like some others love to do this as a vindictive thing against our people, I said. British Golding is here. What if the government in Jamaica had relented? You didn't only choose a white man, which would be no problem if he was a true Jamaican like Siaga, who admitted he was not born here. Him being white would never be the problem and was not. The world already knows that. That's how we are. You chose one whose culture demands that he will never allow our people to rise, and that's the problem. You chose one with a slave master legacy that is him, which he remains um, molded or fashioned by. How could you, huh? You choose a white man over your own children, you careless Ethiopians. You stopped listening to Bob Marley and started listening to Vice Cartel, but it did not seem to help. Fact is fact. Fact is fact. They slaughtered Tupac and started listening to P. Diddy. Fact is fact. Didn't help. When the JLP buckled and agreed to use an IC membership filled with mostly staunch PNP supporters in good faith, thinking that their integrity would keep them fair, it seemed like a simple matter, didn't it? I mean, a good referee should be able to ref a football game where another team played against his favorites and be fair about it. Could people like Christie and Pantan do that in the Integrity Commission? No, never. Not the roasty breadfruit type or a judge that turned into a grudge. No, no, it's a horrible thing when a judge turns into a grudge. No, fast forward to today when their tribal natures chips in. Same thing will happen with bringing back a slave master's child to the slaves, especially one that chooses the slave colonizers over you to your face. Are you sick in your head? What kind of backing mentality is this? Why are you backing back to the 70s? The man comes with whips and is doing little slave master tricks on you. He has a damn chain. Didn't you see it? You careless Ethiopians are backing back to the plantation, and you have no love for your children, much less your race. Listening to some damn fool argument about 3 trillion missing and ice came from Florida. Do you ever stop to think how stupid it is? Hey everyone, Skywalker here, sipping from my coffee cup, watching steam roll away and trying to figure out why, all of a sudden, after Michael Manley, the PNP has completely chosen to become a backward party, backing back from everything good, backing back from everything decent, backing back from everything godly. They back from condoning and supporting decent living, and now they have chosen criminals and criminal networks. They prefer to support scabbing and put drug dealers in parliament to make our laws. The party that I used to love is now ruled by a full-fledged British man. Now, let me tell you something I know about the British. While I see you keep backing back, backing back onto the plantation. They never stopped with trying to colonize us. I said the British has not stopped trying to colonize us either. They are still at it. To enslave or to shepherd or use us, they haven't stopped. Neocolonialism is not a thing of the past. It happens today and we must, by all means, protect ourselves against it today, just as we did try yesterday. Does Mark Golding, the son of a British agent whose job was to protect British interests, look like he is our freedom solution to you? Huh? How foolish can you be trying to use a rat to chase the rats out of your house? You must be sick in the head. Even many gangsters and drug dealers the British will use, like they use terrorists in Africa against their own people. Yet, many of these people think they struck good deals without seeing the evil they do to their own children in the long run. Like a guy who say, I got a deal, I have a done, I'm working with a done, and doesn't know where this goody come from. But he says he's lacking the place in Jamaica and doesn't know what he's doing to his country. They are using you to destabilize your own people. And they know it. They know that even your children will suffer by it in the long run. But they will have control because when the place is in chaos, then they will step in. Golding, choosing gangsters over the good citizenry is no good news for gangsters. By now, they must have realized, at least some would have realized. I bet that cartel knows. Mark Golding comes from John Golding. Let me repeat. Mark Golding is the son of Agent John Golding. Go research if you think I lie, for he is Mark Golding's father, and you will only prove me right. So go research. From back in the days until now, the British government has been one of, if not the most corrupt in world history. Just like they found terrorist groups in Africa in order to steal the black man's resources, I said they fund terrorist groups in Africa in order to steal the black man's resources, gold and other stuff. They employed men referred to as pirates back in the days to steal from other peoples and countries and share it with the British crown. I mean, they still have these pirates and agents, operatives going out there to do the work of England, like moles in your country. Some get into politics, some get into healthcare, and etc. And from latching on into these positions, they get to destabilize your country and package it back for England, right? Some of them are here in different capacities, and many of them will lie and say they were born in Jamaica. Back in the days, people like if Michael Manley was born in England and said he was born in Jamaica, you think we would have known? No, we wouldn't have known because we don't have all things documented. We don't have the technology. We didn't have the technology we do now. But if Mark Golding comes to Jamaica, um, and as a man who was born in London and says he was born in Jamaica, we can easily find out he's lying. Just like we know now that he was born in London. Former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's son was caught in Africa trying to cause a coup to kill countless Africans just to create a distraction to steal gold. Even today, the British Crown has these pirates that work for them, which Thatcher's son was one. And Mark Golding is the son of one. And these sons always want to live up to their fathers. They still have their aircrafts going to loot and bring back goodies from Africa. Every now and then you see a British plane flying out of the forest where people are dying, black people are dying. And many times they leave many people so dead in Africa. This is why, as black people, we must keep our eyes open to who will lead our countries and to what mindset they are in and who really these people are. This is why, as black people, we must keep our eyes open to who will lead our country and to what mindset they are in. Can I repeat that again? A leader with a backpack from goodness mindset is good for being a pirate. The irony is that back in the days, just a bit before the PNP was connected to Mark Golding, PJ Patterson used a term that has come to haunt him now, I bet. I wonder what he thinks about his own words today. Were they prophetic? He said, fly the gate and let in the pirate. The PNP has let a British pirate, the son of one of the deadliest British agents that ever performed in Jamaica, John Golding, who used our suffering from polio like we were used as guinea pigs to create a proven vaccine for England. So he was the hero for England and he got paid by becoming a hero in Jamaica. This is how British pirates, old and modern ones, work. For some reason, we have always had problems with the careless Ethiopians that sell out the quickest. Mark Golding grew upon the legacy of his father, the British agent and the slave making people of England. Mark Golding himself, who benefited in his ancestors being paid for having to free slaves that themselves earned no reparations. He had to free the slaves that themselves, as slaves, earned no reparations. But he comes to Jamaica doing a slave master ritual with chains on a black man's neck and telling us how we suffered on slave ships like he was bragging about it. We suffered on slave ships in the Middle Passage and inviting us to believe that his forefathers were not the tormentors, our tormentors. He said they came on ships as slaves like us. Evil man. Evil man. They got reparations when they were forced to give up their slaves. Do you know that? Did your ancestors, did your ancestors, children of the slaves, did your ancestors get any reparation? Is that good for us? Is it? We have a past history of British molds coming into our countries and molding into our societies, even marrying our women and them doing their diligence to England, like John Golding. Mark Golding's father managed to test his vaccine by the blood of thousands of Jamaican guinea pigs. After these breakouts, the story is written by the British and they will choose to make the villain the hero. They have a name for this process. If Mark Golding comes to, to hijack our freedom, he would expect that he will be seen as a hero when the deed is done. And the black Jamaicans believe in the white man more than in themselves. Jamaica cannot gain full independence with a British citizen at their leadership. It is impossible. It is a shackle itself that your leader is British. That enough is a big enough linchpin. So why would an entire Jamaican political party, the one we chose because it was radical and for the people, be in support of this abominable principle? Why are our PNP leaders in reverse? Are is this the PNP party or has this white man turned it into Rise United but using the name of the destroyed PNP for its power? Are to use as influence. Well, I see that it is in reverse, so I moved forward and left it alone because I love Jamaica. I am black and I have a conscience. What says you? Backing back into everything indecent and criminal will ever destabilize a country. When a political leader supports criminality and scamming or recruit them in his team, it is a deliberate attempt to prevent the country from rising. It creates a link for dark forces to enter into the highest reaches of the society. It is not only an adverse mindset culture, but a direct attack on law and order. While the law cannot be thrown at Mark Golding for these dastardly acts, the acts in themselves are broadsides against the state. The people must defend against it by getting rid of him. And the PNP must defend their own people by getting rid of this mold. These are deliberate acts because the things that Golding does prove that he knows the evil he does. The people that follow behind him, like the maverick talking about ice are the ones that don't know. Mark is the one who can only empower himself. He has nothing to lose. The ones that have the most to lose are those that run behind him, like the maverick who believes that history does not matter. That very way of thinking is a screw to oneself when you think about it. What kind of human, as a black person, looks at his past and the causes of it, then looks on his own child and says history does not matter? What kind of deranged being does so? Huh? Can you explain? Do you pick Lionel Messi to score more goals over or to score more goals than Walter Byde? Or do you say that history does not matter? I am flabbergasted. A man who punches other players all day, apologizes, and then goes to the next match to receive another red card for doing the same thing all day has an inherent problem, which history can prove. So too is the son of those that enslaved us coming to our country with a damn blasted chain. And you want to tell me that these sequences doesn't count? Because history history shows these sequences all the time. That's how you know they are clear. What part of that needs more revelation? Huh? Everything must be based on history and personality markers in history. Otherwise, the term of our forefathers that says to take sleep and mark death would have no value, and you would do no wrong to try to kiss a beautiful serpent, vicious in its venomous anger, in deceit. Yes, it's so venomous and vicious, but it's so nice in its deceit. While it's so dark and angry, so go kiss that serpent. And history does not matter because you don't care what other serpents like it did. And and the same are similar occasions. It usually takes the blackest ones among us to say the most anti-black shite to us, isn't it? Yes, it usually does. In history, both now and in recent times, agents like Mark Golding's father, and who to tell if Golding too, because why can't he admit to where he was born in London? He was not born in Jamaica because he would have a track record here and a circle of friends, classmates, teachers, the whole nine yards, like everyone else. Brogard can't tell anyone that he was born in England because his neighbors and schoolmates would know. It's the same for Mark Golding. Agents like John Golding, some of them pirates like Captain Morgan, would work for England to keep the colonies from growing straight for independence. Right? Is Mark Golding one of these moles, huh, of preventing us from strengthening and growing straight for independence? Huh? So he comes to say back, 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 back. I want to tell you how a pirate destroyed Jamaica in favor of England, are to weakness for the British crown and to take our energy, steal our energy as Britain has been doing for many, many years. Many, many years. These white supremacists have been doing, stealing our energy. So I want to tell you how this pirate destroyed Jamaica for England. And I want to tell you how Jamaican scientists were robbed of their technology that turned England into a world power, and which is one of the things that created the global industrial revolution. Jamaica should be the greatest world power, but we don't know that. Jamaica should be the greatest world power, but we don't know. And history never tells this story. How many times can I repeat? I call upon Jamaica loving bloggers to research and tell these stories too, right? And it's not just for Jamaica, it's for our race as a whole. My people, during the time of colonial rule in slavery, about 70 ish, about 70, Jamaican men started the tempered iron business in Jamaica. They were the inventors. Mostly likely, the science came from Africa with them because the history hardly ever explains that the enslavers took the scientists from Africa first to work as slaves. So when they go to Africa, they could be asking for botanists and people could help them to find them to bring them as slaves. They could be asking for men that build bridges, etc., etc. So they took the ones with the knowledge. So sometimes these are the slaves that came first because they wanted them to build their empires like those that were built in Africa. So all this thing that they're talking about who built what and nobody knew who built them, they know that the black people built it because they stole the brains from Africa and brought them to build here. That's how the West was developed. They wanted to bring all science, wisdom, and technology that was in Africa, where most wisdom was found, to the West. Electricity, for example, was first brought to Barcelona in Spain by a group of Africans. In America, places were set up where all these men did was research. I mean, these black enslaved people they brought from Africa. They were working in research centers. That was their slave job. This is why nearly all Western inventions, including the airplane, was done by black slaves. Did you know that even the airplane, the plane you fly on to go America when you want to run off, was invented by black slaves? The white masters only took them and patented them. In some cases, by them claiming to own the slaves, they believed they already had natural rights to these patents. Blacks could not own patents. Henry Ford, for example, became great by owning motor vehicles created by enslaved black people. The white people wrote the history, omitting these parts. Remember how this young Jamaican man invented a system to make all cars run by water recently, and now he disappeared? Well, maybe he is in Japan creating an amazing battery. We don't have to go to no damn university to create stuff because it wasn't even like that. It's in our blood. I don't want this video to be an hour, so I cannot go to too many details here. Anyway, in Jamaica, a white man who was looking a way out utilized the science of slaves. The reason why you can make money by selling scrap metal is because of this Jamaican slave science invention. Tempered iron. This is what you call it. I think you call it today, they call it the cold method worldwide. Colt is a white man. These 70 or so men set up a factory in Jamaica, being facilitated by a white man who had no knowledge of the product but took it as an opportunity to benefit from the energy and creation of the black slaves. Contrary to what you were told, it is the blacks that were intelligent because they were selected as slaves also for their knowledge of science. The project was doing incredibly well until one day one of the British pirates who worked with their crown, that's England, came here, came here to look for things to pirate because that is their mandate. So even today, they still have things to pirate worldwide, or to usurp countries or destabilize them like they would do to get back their hands on Jamaica. Now, this pirate was one of the ones commissioned to bring spies from the colonial territories to England or any territory where it was found, as a matter of fact. He would take it and bring it back to England. But they were looting Jamaica a lot at the time, so they could come and whatever they stole, they could share it with their crowd. And they would make sure to keep the countries dependent to. This pirate, I believe his name was Court, for the tempered iron method is called the Court method, as he patented it in his name after stealing it with help from Britain. He saw it here and went and informed the British crown about the glorious magic existing in Jamaica, because he came and saw that magic. Soon the British sent soldiers to shut down the factory, claiming that the Jamaicans would use it to make weapons for revolt. And that's why this factory, or this kind of factory, could not be feasible down here. However, what Britain was doing in essence was a partnership with their pirates, as conforming to the General Pact. They took the factory and brought to England under the ownership of this pirate. Crystal Palace and others were built from this invention in England, and England had the tempered iron to become the world power it is today. How well the crown turned around, framed and charged court, and took the entire thing for the use of the crown. This Jamaican discovery proved more valuable to them than their 10 than their not 10 13. I think it was 13 colonies at the time combined. They backed Jamaica into poverty, just as Jamaica was about to rise as the single greatest nation on planet Earth. Now we have Mark Golding here telling us to back every time we have a reason to go forward. Why doesn't he just back home to London? I don't know. Today, Jamaica is about to rise to independence, and the British man is here, defiant as ever. All he ever says is back from doing anything that goes forward. In fact, he fools people saying that Jamaica will go forward by us going back and we can be an independent nation if our leader is British. What the devil is this foolishness? So, Andrew Holness decides to build homes to benefit the poor, and the world and the Caribbean just simply admires it. I see so many people receive homes and joyful tears come to my eyes. Ma Golding says back from that. Andrew Holness doubles down on paying down the debt. But Golding says back on that. He wants us to remain in debt as usual. I remember when he was on a committee that wanted Hart to be removed. Yeah, Hard Trust has created so many successful people and is still the preferred source for foreign hospitality employers. Yet, he was saying to back on Hard. Hard training does have its levels, and you can own a business because of it. Everything for this British man and this new rise on the ashes of the old PNP structure is about backing back. The JLP is trying to create a structure where legitimate jobs become the choice of the youths. But the Mark Golding led ex-PNP party says back from that, right? They rather to promote scamming and drug dealers, even gangsters as the role models, typical to how England would rather to use pirates and terrorists instead of decent people. What do you expect with a British Buckamaza at the helm of the party that once shone bright as a beacon of hope for the descendants of slaves? It only took one white man to infiltrate and compromise the mighty PNP. He speaks about his wife being black as if we don't know the criminal thing he did and the circumstances forced on him to marry whether he wanted to or not. And it seemed like this criminal behavior was a criminal habit too. He is a man in a glass house who loves to throw stones at more upright persons than himself, like Andrew Holness, because Buckermasters hate when black leaders lead. And the Black Judas chain gang displeased their black ancestors for eternity, for they are helping him to throw stones where he can cast them. How can you choose the Judas side? How can you? No, this white man and his black chain gang have taken the noble PNP and jammed it right up into the cow's butthole, where it might never be recovered anymore to see the light of day. I, as one with a conscience and as a black Jamaican born to those that endured slavery and now have a vision for independence, could not sit and watch. I am going forward. I must go forward. I want progress. Jamaica needs prosperity. There is no backing back. Back for what? Back into what? Back into a new Bucky Massa and son of John Golding. Back into the colony from which we depart. Back to whose benefit and on whose terms? Back to Egypt. The British man who wants to bring a British mold into Jamaica. Parliament without remorse. Without remorse. Without remorse. For a chain gang that have no shame or remorse are men that wear the word integrity as a badge on their shirts but prove all day to have none at all. Huh? Because we are rising, because we can't all be fooled by the gimmickry anymore, and because we have found a black leader who is working well and who will screw himself if he ever tries to screw us over, because he has nowhere to run like Golding of England, Peter Bunting, and the rest of the Black Chain Gang and Tapanari support, certified by the British throne as friends or family of England. Think on these things, my people.